Hello, welcome back. Do you guys like my bangs that I very impulsively cut with kitchen scissors over the kitchen sink without a mirror and without a tutorial? Please don't judge them too much. Anyway, hello and welcome back to another writing vlog. Today's video is intended to be a little more realistic than my last. When I was editing the footage for my last video, I was quite shocked by how absolutely produced a lot of that footage seemed. Like there was just something about the lighting. The lighting was accidentally perfect. I was in this outfit that accidentally complemented all of the colors of my RGB lights and the overall theme of my office, and it just felt very produced, which I don't think is a bad thing. I definitely am the kind of person when it comes to videography who prefers a cinematic approach. I prefer things to look polished, intentional, clean. I'm just a very aesthetic person in real life, so in many ways this is just a realistic and authentic representation of me. But that video, even for me, was kind of pushing it, where I was like, good lord, it looks like I've got a YouTube studio going or something, and that is definitely not the case. This is just my little office, and I'm just next to the natural light of the window. So anyway, I thought I would try to offset that slightly overproduced video with something that's a little more realistic today, and I've got a lot of work to do. So overall, for the next few days, I'm going to be forced to balance writing and then my job as an editor and then my personal goals as well. And I don't know about you. If you are a YouTuber, do you agree that there's something about documenting the process of your day that forces you to stay on task? Because it does for me. It really works. And I'm trying to get a lot better about just filming my life as I go through it and just documenting things instead of feeling like it has to be something of a production. I mean, like, obviously to some level there's prep involved. You have to have all your batteries charged, blah, 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 blah. I have, a good quality microphone. Normally I have my microphone on my shirt, which is why I always end up having such a tight frame, is because I'm trying not to show my microphone, which is hideous, but it is a very good microphone. So today we're trying like a little tissue box action. Hopefully it's working. I don't know. I might have to do a little editing in post. Either way, today is ideally going to be a more realistic day in my life, and hopefully you will help me stay on track because today we've got a lot to do. First, before I get into anything, let's give you a couple of updates on my work in progress, which is maybe I'll insert a little graphic. Project Godspell. I announced this in my last video. It is the next book that I intend to publish. I'm technically over 50,000 words into this draft, but I have replotted everything, and that's going to require some refinement. I am one of those writers who keeps everything that she cuts in a separate document, and I like that because if I ever feel like I want to pull on something I've already written, if I ever want to just see how many words I end up cutting in general, that's kind of informative and interesting. So I saved it, but ultimately I killed a lot of darlings, and we are now in the process of refining the words that I have left, which is at about, I think, 23,000 words. I'm gonna refine that, do a lot of rewriting, do a lot of reworking, and we're gonna get ourselves back on track in no time. That's what I'm telling myself, at least. When it comes to the first draft, I will tell you this. I allow myself to indulge in a little more info dumping than I normally would. And that's because I think I'm still trying to feel out this story. The best part about writing a first draft is you get to experience the story for the first time almost the way the reader is going to. You're exploring the story world for the first time, and you're meeting these characters for the first time, and you're learning all about them and their isms and their dynamics and their nuances. And it's just fun in that way. And I think that if we have too many restrictions on the first draft, it can be really limiting, and it can actually, in my opinion, impede on the creative process. So even though I am, in fact, a die-hard plotter, I do like to leave a little bit of room in the first draft, knowing that it's going to be a bit exploratory, it's going to be a bit self-indulgent, and I will cut that later. The biggest thing for me right now is just making sure that I don't abandon the plot. I am sticking to the plot. I do have a few rules whenever I'm writing a hook that I thought might be helpful to share here on my channel. The first is that obviously, unless you're starting off with a prologue, you need to start with your protagonist. As an editor, I have been shocked by how many first chapters begin with characters who aren't the protagonist. It's very confusing, very strange. Always start with the protagonist. The second is to start at the beginning of the action. I think that there's this weird impulse. I mean, speaking of info dumping, there's this weird impulse as an author to tell too much backstory. And I think we kind of trick ourselves into believing that unless we provide this backstory, somehow the reader is going to be able to grasp what is going on in the first chapter. But the reality is that the reader isn't expecting to grasp what's going on fully, at least in the first chapter. Part of the fun is the mystery. Part of the fun is the question. The best kind of storytelling isn't often just telling the story. It is withholding parts of the story and telling those parts at the right time. So remember, in the first chapter, we're doing a lot of withholding, and that is intentional, strategic, and deliberate. So we need to start with our protagonist. We need to start in the beginning of the action, and then that leads to number 3, which is we need to make sure that there is movement in this scene. And this is currently what I'm kind of struggling with. We don't want to start off with a protagonist who's just standing there observing her surroundings and describing those surroundings to the reader. We also don't need action, where the character is standing there observing a bunch of action and reporting on that action. We need the protagonist to be moving the plot forward from the very beginning. They need to be in the process of doing something. They need to drive the action. They need to be driving the plot. My problem currently is that I have the book beginning with the protagonist sort of hiding, and that is a little too adjacent to her observing the things going around her. So I'm going to trim down on a lot of the exposition. I'm going to be really objective about the info dumping, maybe cut a lot of that, keep it in a separate document like I said before. So I don't want her to be doing anything frivolous. I would like for her to be doing something that reflects her status quo, but is different. Different enough that we're creating some semblance of conflict and we're sort of driving it home to the reader that things are not as they normally are. And again, this is not the inciting incident. That is not the hook. We also want to make sure we're including notes on setting. You don't want white wall syndrome. You have to remember that basically what you're doing as a writer is you're painting a mental image for your reader. And we want to make sure that the reader is oriented. They don't have to be completely informed of everything that's going on, but they need to feel oriented. Otherwise, they're going to be wasting important mental bandwidth on trying to figure out what the hell is going on and where everybody is. One of the things that I hate the absolute most is when an author neglects to describe a certain setting for a certain amount of time, and then you have to cobble together your own interpretation of what everything looks like, and then you have that established, and then several chapters later, they decide to describe it then, and it's not at all like how you envisioned it. Don't do that to your readers. That is infuriating. Describe the setting at least briefly, immediately. Describe the characters involved in this setting. Start with your protagonist. They are the ones who are driving the plot forward. And make sure that whatever they are doing is actually meaningful. It's going to contribute somehow to the reader's understanding of this character's status quo, but also how things are a little different. They're a little off. We want to inject enough suspense and intrigue into the narrative that the hook, before the hook is even hooking, it's hooking. Because people are like, something is weird. Something is amiss. What could that be? Anyway, that is what I'm going to be doing starting now. After this, I need to be doing quite a bit of editing. I have a manuscript assessment on my desk right now that I'm working on, and that requires me to read through the entire manuscript once, and then I take a lot of notes throughout. Then I usually read it again, and then I write a report, and that report is often quite long, extensive, detailed. It's basically an edit letter without the developmental edit that it accompanies. So, got that I need to do today. We're going to try and get a run in. We're going to try and make a green smoothie. We got a lot to do. So let's go.
Clouds roll by, glittering. I never thought they would let me in.
Oh my god.
Fading like a distant call.
Mushroom tea light.
The devil will never be welcome here at all. The sky is gray, I guess that's what it takes to feel a little lonely is a stay.
Delicious.
Do you feel our love is the only thing that is real? It's like a heart with nothing to conceal, nothing more. Lesson learned, a slight state of hope that you will return. It's what I got and then the summer turn into fall. Waited here just for you, caught in the moment of finally getting through.
Look at this queen.
Fading like a distant call. I do not remember those days at all, but I will never be here if it wasn't true. So let me be the one to hold you. Do you feel our love?
You want to come outside? Yes. Hello, good afternoon. I come to you from the one room in which I can find good lighting because it is actively storming outside. We got a random monsoon. This was not in the forecast at all. It came out of nowhere. It is now a downpour. I absolutely love it. However, I do think that this is going to sabotage my effort to get a run in this afternoon. I typically run in the forest. Actually, I don't know why I'm saying typically. I exclusively run in the forest. I don't have a gym membership right now, so I do need to run there or else I have to run in public. And no way in hell is that going to happen. So I'm not going to be running today. I think if anything, I'll wait out the rain and maybe get a walk in. I got a lot done today. I enjoyed that cafe. It was so cute. It was perfect. I ended up knocking out a lot of work emails. I made a lot of progress on that manuscript assessment I was talking about. And then of course I came home, choked down my green smoothie, which really tasted a lot better than it looked, had some lunch, kept working. Editing is one of those jobs where it's almost irresponsible to do it as a side hustle because it requires your full undivided attention. I usually have to call it as soon as I start to feel that attention waning because that's when mistakes are gonna happen. That's when I'm gonna miss certain things. So we're at about that point now. I'm gonna go make myself nice and comfy. I think I'm gonna pull my hair back, maybe put on a sweatshirt if I can manage. There's something about cozy clothes and coziness in general and writing, and it's raining and I wanna light a candle and I want some tea. Like all of that is just perfect writing vibes, am I right? So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna dive into my own project, which is of course Project Godspell. I'm gonna be working on the hook, like I said earlier. For me and for this particular manuscript, that is about the first 4 chapters. The first 2, I just need to refine. Chapter 3 and 4, though, I do think will be full rewrites, but I'm actually really looking forward to it because it's been so long since I've been able to actually write new material. If you've been here on my channel for a while, you know that I've been stuck in the purgatory of final drafting for a couple of years now, and it's been a long time since I've dived into a brand new story, and I'm just really, really, really chomping at the bit. I've spent a lot of time plotting, brainstorming, outlining, and now it's time to finally draft and to draft brand new material. So that is what we're going to be doing. And yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be really, really exciting and really enjoyable. So this battery is about to die. I'm going to call it here and I will talk to you afterward and let you know how everything goes. I am way too lazy to figure out lighting. So yeah, I'm in my bathroom and my cat is here. She's very cute. My writing session did not go as planned, not even remotely, which I'm really disappointed about because all I needed to do was work on the hook. But there was just something about today. I think it was just the amount of energy that I spent on editing. It was just a lot and I didn't have a lot left to focus on my own project. It felt a lot like I was just rearranging words, and that does concern me because you can kind of get into this almost hypnosis when you're drafting where you start to overthink absolutely everything, and I feel like I was treading that line today. And I also feel it was probably because I started writing on the heels of editing. And what that usually means for me is I'm still locked in that editing mindset. So I'm still looking at everything very critically. And then when I'm trying to go first to draft something, it just doesn't go very well because I need to be in a completely different mindset. I spent the vast majority of this writing session just overthinking things and trying to kind of like beat down this wall, and it should have been so much easier than it was. And honestly, I know myself really well as a writer at this point, and so I should have just called it. Like, I kind of knew in my heart of hearts that like it just wasn't in the cards today. Yeah, by the way, I obviously didn't film any b-roll of that. That was largely because all of my batteries were dead, and so I needed to charge them, and my camera was overheating, and I just figured I'm gonna sit down and write. And honestly, there wasn't a lot to film anyway. I just sat down with a candle and some tea, and I did attempt to write. There wasn't actually a lot of typing or writing going on. It was mostly just me second guessing a lot of the amount of detail that I was including. I do ultimately think that I found a way to reframe the beginning so that the protagonist is moving through the plot and she's driving it forward versus her being a bystander, an observer, a witness of things happening. So there's that. That's a win. Even so, I thought that I would have more fun. I thought I would have more fun. I've been working so hard as well. I feel like I've gotten to this point where writing doesn't even feel like a reward anymore. It's just something that I'm kind of like squeezing frantically into random pockets of time that I have. And when I have that time, it's like go, go, go. It's not like what it used to be for me, which was kind of an escape. And I miss that about writing. Ultimately, I think I'm really overdue for some time off, and I've been saying that for a while. My next video very well may be along the lines of just treating myself to an all-day writing day, which I just haven't had for so long. I think the problem right now is I still can't mentally justify a whole day writing, not until I've finished these projects that are on my desk. I love my job. I love giving my clients my all. It is what I do. I am so invested in the success of their projects that I often work way more hours than I'm actually being paid for. That is something I probably shouldn't say online. All of my editing friends wonder why I don't charge hourly, and I absolutely should charge hourly. But anyway, I'm not taking all of this in that direction. I just want to say I've been overworking and I need to take a step back and kind of like focus on my own goals. I did realize recently that, hey, it's July and I have not really accomplished any of the goals that I had, which is very disappointing. Unless I change things, this is the way the rest of the year is gonna look. And I'm going to show up in December and realize I still don't have anything done. What am I gonna do then? Whoa, hello. Welcome to this clandestine meeting point in the name of trying to be a little less OCD and perfectionistic about my video production. Here we are, sitting lodged between this bed and this dresser. Lo and behold, the battery that I thought was charged earlier was not charged. Well, actually it was. I have this bad habit of purchasing in mass these really cheap batteries on Amazon that are from China, and they work great until they don't. And then when they don't, it's like they have a 5-minute charge just out of nowhere and then they're dead. And that was one of those instances. So it looked fully charged and it wasn't. But anyway, I don't have much more to add, but I thought I would at least finish my thought and just come here and finish talking a little bit about these feelings that I've been having. So basically, I've been having these moments this year particularly, but definitely over the last couple of years, where I have realized we're trying to do the same thing but get a different outcome. When are we going to accept that we have to change our approach in order to get a different outcome? When are we actually going to change? That's where I'm at right now. I have been wondering for the last several years, am I ever going to actually make it as an author? I've been writing for years, for literally decades. Yeah, plural. And the fact that I'm not further along is absolutely the stuff of nightmares for me. I do love to be a book editor. I feel that it's been great that I've been able to make a career out of basically reading books for a living, but that has never been the end game for me. The end game has always been writing my own books, and I feel that I have inadvertently sabotaged myself in some ways by picking a field that is so adjacent to writing that I just don't have a lot of energy left when it comes to writing. And I have talked all the time on my channel, you've been here, you've heard it, about ways to reorganize my day and different ways to approach creativity and how to regenerate my creative well throughout the day, blah, blah, blah. Like, I talk extensively about this because it's become an obsession. It it needs to be an obsession, because I feel if I want to make this happen, then this is like what I'm going to have to figure out. What I've come to realize though is I think what I need to do is be very selective about the clients that I'm working with. I took on a lot of new clients this year, and that's always kind of a wild card. Part of being a good editor is making sure that you are in tune with each client's voice. You home in on their inherent strengths and their weaknesses, and you sort of customize the edit to complement what they need and what the manuscript demands. And that takes a lot of mental bandwidth, and it also just takes a lot of time. When I'm working with clients who I've been working with for years, it takes a lot less brain power. I'm just able to leap right into their voice, right into their work, and I feel it's a lot more effortless. I have decided that for the rest of the year, I will not be accepting any new clients. So I'll be closing to new clients, unfortunately. There is a possibility that if I feel like things have lightened up a little bit, I may run a deal. So if you're still interested in working together at some point, just stay tuned. I will probably alert everybody here on my channel. But I do think after today, especially, like it's just really sinking in that I am overworking myself and I need to focus more on my own goals if I ever want to make this happen. And at some point in time, I need to just be real with myself. Yeah, so I think I will be taking no new clients on, most likely. I will be only working with my existing established clients who I love, love, love. And I love being an editor. I have to reinforce that. I love my job. I'm grateful for it. It's absolutely, definitely one of the best things that's ever happened to me. We all have to work around jobs. This is an issue of me just overworking myself and working more than what I'm being paid for. That's it. That's just like my plight in life. So I think my next video will probably have something to do with, like I said earlier, just giving myself a day to write all day and reconnect with that side of myself and just take a day off, for God's sake. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed a day in my life. It was really fun. I loved going to the cafe. It was productive. I struggled a little bit with the hook. I'm not totally happy with it, but we've made progress nonetheless, because even if you sit down and you just think about your book, even if you're just giving it the time of day and keeping it at the forefront of your mind, that is progress. That really is progress. And I think I have found the direction that I need to take. And now I just gotta execute. So thank you all for being here and have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye.